Bluff City Media presents the Two Buck Sports Show with your hosts, Rusty Buckets and Uncle Buck. Now, let's get to the show.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to your Wednesday edition of the Two Buck Sports Show. I am your co-host, Rusty Buckets, coming to you from sunny East Memphis, Tennessee, where it's hot, but not as hot as it has been. I got my guy, Uncle Buck, Drew Gann, with me here today. Uncle Buck, how's it going, sir?
It is a beautiful day in paradise here in North Mississippi. The weather is the exact same, low 90s, sunny. I'm not scared to go outside, though, because it's better than inside. So I'm glad to be here. Rusty, we've talked a lot. We are like four shows in the last 3 days.
Who are we?
Hey, y'all listen to King Meeks in the comments. Hit the like button real quick. Juice us up a little bit. Help us boost us a little bit.
Yeah, we've got a great lineup for y'all today. We're going to do a real versus counterfeit talking injuries. We got another special guest talking New Orleans Pelicans trades, draft, and summer outlook. And then we'll obviously talk about what the Memphis Grizzlies got going on, but we're not going to waste any more time, and we'll dive right in.
We are the Two Bucks. He's Rusty. I'm Drew. We are on Bluff City Media's YouTube page. We're on Bluff City Media's X page. At this time, I'd like to cordially invite everybody from X to come over to YouTube. We got King Meeks in the comments. I'm sure Wayno and Edwards, everybody's going to be here soon. Come hang out with the cool kids and chat, because this is a group project that we do 3 times a week with everybody. And this is our first segment. It is Wednesday. That's where we do real or counterfeit. Rusty sends me up a take, and I define that take as a real take, or whether it is baloney. So, Rusty, give me the take.
The Memphis Grizzlies are the most cursed franchise in the NBA. Real or counterfeit?
Counterfeit.
Yeah.
The most cursed. I mean, I'd really have to do some. I mean, I feel like Indiana's pretty cursed right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had a chance to shock the world, and your best player pops an Achilles, a 12-month injury. That's pretty brutal. I'm not going to take anything from our good friend with the Indiana Pacers that we had on the show, or those
Alex,
guys. I mean, they've got to be on rock bottom. But, dude, it sucks. Don't get me wrong. I mean, not even 24 hours after the news broke that Jaren Jackson Jr. has signed a 5-year, $200 million contract, or whatever it was, $240 million contract. He's in an open gym and has a turf toe, which I thought was a football injury. I don't know that I've ever heard of this in basketball. Yeah. I mean, for Pete's sake, it's turf toe. We don't play on grass. How did this even happen, Rusty?
Yeah, so it's in repetitive, like, push-offs. So, like, runners, football, basketball players, you're going to see it a lot because it creates just that tension on that first toe joint where it connects the big toe to the foot, and just that constant, like, hyperextension, hyperdorsiflexion, whatever you want to call it, bringing that toe up is straining the ligaments, the tendon that runs underneath there, and the joint capsule. And so Jaren ruptured one of those. Ultimately, he's going to have surgery. And it can be a 3 to 6 month recovery. I'm going to say he's showing his injury history, doing some research for this. I do have some data to back up that we are not the most cursed injury, like, NBA team when it comes to injuries. But, in 2020, he had that meniscus tear that shortened the bubble season for him. In 2022, he missed 14 games at the beginning of the season, recovering from foot surgery. 23, he was our Iron Man and was like the only one not hurt for any substantial period. And then obviously missed about 2 weeks last year with that ankle sprain. And so Jaren tends to recover pretty quickly and pretty well. He doesn't stay sidelined. You can't keep a good man down for long, I guess, as the saying goes. So I think Jaren will bounce back quicker. Maybe that's me trying to be optimistic, saying that he'll be back October to, like, basketball activities, playing games by November. But, Drew, I do feel better about it after doing some research. So I think Jaren's toe, again, it is more common in football. I've seen it in football careers, but we're not going to put that on Jaren. Jaren will be back. But over the last 5 years since the bubble, we have averaged, we've been an injured team, right? 2023 being the outlier, where we were the most injured team in the history of the NBA, where we played the most players in the history of the NBA. Last year, we ranked 13th out of 30 teams. In 23, we were first. 22, we were 16th. 2021, we were 28, and in the bubble, we were 22nd. So we're average middle of the pack. We're 16th over the last 5 years on average for most games missed due to injury. Last year, we were 15th, dead in the middle at wins lost due to injury. The league average was 7.41 wins lost due to injury, and the Grizzlies clocked in at 5.67. And so, Drew, yes, in the moment, here in the heat of it, like it sucks. And 2023 has some serious PTSD for us. But I think overall, we're still a relatively fortunate franchise. I don't think this should get us down. But what it's going to do, and we'll talk about more of this in our third and final segment, is going to force our hand at going to get another big to start the season.
Yeah, it's easy to look at shake your fists in the air and yell at the sky and say, "Why, God, why?"
Yeah.
Everything is just a freak injury, and I think freak injuries. You're the medical expert here, or former medical expert here. I feel like freak injuries happen when you try hard and you just the more repetitive motion. It's just like you just leave yourself up for stupid stuff. But like it's hard to. Maybe the curse thing works more because it makes logical sense because last year you had multiple, Ja Morant had multiple injuries that he took no part in participating in. Yeah. It took a bounce pass to the foot to roll an ankle, and Christian Koloko pushed him out of the air, and Daniel Tice clotheslined him, and then Lou Dort clipped him out of the air. It's like maybe it's a vendetta against Ja and then bad luck for everybody else. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't say curse though, because just I'm Christian, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
I just there are teams that have it worse, but my goodness, the run the Grizzlies have been on, I would put a 2-year run against anybody.
Yeah, no doubt. And we've got our guest in the second segment can talk about some injuries because the New Orleans Pelicans have had their share. The Orlando Magic have been one of the top injured teams over the course of their entire franchise in my research today. And so there are teams that are bit by the injury bug. But I think, Drew, like two things. We're humans and we want to blame something outside of ourselves is why we're looking at we're cursed. It's bad luck. But the reality is that's just what it is. It's terrible luck. Like you said, like there's not like a common theme. Like we're not seeing a ton of oblique injuries like the Magic had last year or tendonitis in the knee or Achilles tendonitis. We're just seeing dudes that just like you said, get taken out midair, a basketball to the ankle, just stupid things that are outside of everybody's control. But I'm hoping that what we can take away from this is like, yes, we're bit by the injury bug right now. It could be worse. And of all the people to get hurt, Jaren has a history of recovering quickly. Now, last year, I don't know that he was fully over that ankle sprain when he came back trying to hit that 65-game minimum threshold. But over the course of his career, Jaren has recovered relatively quickly. And I expect the same thing again here in my expert-ish opinion that he'll be back by November.
Well, I sure hope so because, the Grizzlies' history with their medical staff and front office, if they say 4 to 6 months, dang it, it's 6 months. If they say 4 to 6 weeks, it's 6 weeks. It's never sooner. There's no, Michael's secret stuff that they're rubbing on ailments down there to speed this process up. So.
Well, hey, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're going to take a quick bumper video. We've got a special guest on the other side from the Wing Pod covering the Pelicans. Can't wait to have Adam on here in just a sec.
Hey, guys. Hear me okay?
What's going on, Adam? I will welcome you. Rusty's music plays in his ears for way too long, and we end up sitting here for a long, pregnant pause anytime that we get on these videos here. So, welcome, Adam. Pelicans guy, you're in the news a lot, and I want you to just take your team's side on everything here. Give me the reasons why you guys got it right, or
Oh, do I have to? Do I have to take the team side on everything?
Absolutely
not at all. You would actually fit in with most Memphis fans if you hate on the Pelicans. So.
You were giving me PTSD. I'm listening to y'all talk about the injuries and the medical staff saying 4 weeks. Oh, well, it's going to be 6. Look, the parallels here down to the devastated injury season. I mean, we're looking in a mirror. So lot of change, a season of change in New Orleans. A season of debate amongst fans a couple of months ago about whether or not this team was going to continue to be built around Zion Williamson. That was, I think, more of a question mark to general fans than it was to the people around the team. I didn't really have any doubt. They're not going to sell Zion in a suppressed market. That's not a thing. You don't really have a choice. Like, from a business standpoint, he's the best thing you got going. The off the court stuff has really ratcheted up, and that's not fun, as you guys are very familiar with. And so we just want to get back on a basketball court really badly.
Yeah.
So,
we were there a couple of summers ago, right? With all the Ja Morant stuff. Thankfully, ours has quieted down. It feels like as Zion continues to ramp up, but we can relate, right? Like, all you heard over the last couple of weeks after the Desmond Bane trade was Ja and Jaren are next, and they're on their way out, and Memphis is blowing it up, and they got it, whatever. And it's like, that's the silliest thing I've ever heard. Ja Morant is a generational point guard. Yes, he has injury concerns, but if you move Ja Morant, like this, like, the franchise is going to crumble. So that was clearly not going to happen. And I'm sure y'all feel the same way around Zion, because the idea of Zion on the court, Adam, is enough to sell a whole bunch of tickets to see like a premier NBA talent if he can stay out there.
He's wow factor. He's wow factor in a small market. And even if your team was bumbling around average, something that I think fans like never really want to hear, but is just a stark reality in the NBA, is that in a market like yours and a market like mine, which are perennially in the bottom three of sales and merchandise revenue and all that stuff, selling tickets and selling out your corporate sponsors and all that stuff really matters. And nobody wants to do that for a 20-win team. So, like, it's fun. It's always fun to talk about in a vacuum how a future ideal build could work out 3 to 5 years from now. But in the meantime, people need to watch the product that's spending money and costing money in your city.
Yeah.
So we're in Dumars town now.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the realest question mark coming into the summer was like, what's going to happen here? Like, the guy who paid Charlie Villanueva is running my team. What's going to happen? And one thing's for sure, a lot is going to happen.
It already has,
and very quickly. So what were y'all's impressions of Dumars when you hear he's coming to run this team? Is your immediate thought like, oh, those Detroit teams? Oh God.
What my first thought was like, what kind of collusion happens when you take a job as the enforcement arm of the NBA and then go to a take over a GM role? Like, who was being levied suspensions for New Orleans that now just gets to skirt by?
I can color that one a little bit. Locally, this has been a rumor for a really long time.
Really?
And it's because he's best friends with Mickey Loomis, the Saints
a bad dude
president.
to be friends with. I'm a Saints fan. I mean,
yeah, the other guy in sports in New Orleans who literally can't be fired is the guy that is his bestie. So he's very, very well liked. Like, we're doing the opposite thing. We cast the net out and we interviewed all these people and we landed on David Griffin, who really wanted the job. This time, appointment hire. This is my buddy. I know him. I trust him. He's part of our family. Let him do his thing. That's really terrifying, because the last time we all saw him making basketball decisions, they were questionable.
Sure.
right.
But like, if there's a silver line, I'm a silver linings guy. I got to keep watching this team and talking about him. There's got to be a silver lining. A lot of people have had to like suck up to the higher ups beyond the front office to get money and to get investment and things like that. They're friends with Joe. If Joe asked them for something, I think they're a lot more likely to go with it than they were when Griff was here. And Griff come to spend a good bit of money himself. So maybe something good comes out of it. Certainly wasn't trouble sending draft capital immediately. So
right. Well, let me ask you this: to the GM, to the higher up, to the Gail Benson of it, Mickey Loomis. One of the prize son of the Memphis Grizzlies is Tony Allen, and he left Memphis to go to New Orleans.
We got to do this.
Then, when talking about New Orleans, it just goes viral talking about how the Pelicans eat leftovers from the Saints. And is that do you feel that? Is that just Tony being Tony?
Look, I will say that the front office, and specifically when I say front office, I want you to think tiers above, because it's really, this stuff's never really coming from like Griff and the guys that that are listed in on NBA.com. It's the people beyond them that run like Gail Benson's organization. They are very, very sensitive to comments about food in the state of Louisiana. So much so that if you say something about them on a podcast, you might find out about that. You might hear that someone heard about that. They're very sensitive about cafeterias and about food products.
Okay.
But look, Tony's telling some truth. Like, there's a recent pod. DeJounte Murray just went on a podcast with Ryan Clark, did the pivot a week ago. And you heard a lot of the same stuff. Like, you heard some real small time, minor market, like almost semi-professional type stuff coming from him. I think Griff did a lot to try to fix some of that stuff. But the thing that I think it's hard for fans to wrap their head around is, like, relative to other teams and other facilities, the Pelicans we're already 10 years behind the average team in the league on most of these things. So they did a lot. They invested like $50 million in training facilities and things. Things got a lot better, but that just moved them to like where the 17th best team in the NBA is right now.
Yeah.
Nobody goes to Atlanta Hawks games. They have state-of-the-art everything. So like that's what you're competing against. And we did a lot in the last few years to get caught up to like the bottom 10 of the league. So Tony's speaking probably a lot of truth. Is it leftovers from the Saints? No.
He's going to put some barbecue sauce on the wings. Yeah.
Is the food probably was the food like hotel level food? Maybe. Because the Saints have been criticizing them too. They do the NFL player survey every year. Saints were getting hammered on the food, and that's why they're sensitive about it.
Well, on the court, you've made a lot of changes as well, right? You finally moved on from the Brandon Ingram experience, right? You've moved CJ McCollum and Kelly Olynyk. You've now added some new pieces in the draft. Like, what was the Brandon Ingram? We'll start there because that was back in February, back during the season. Was it like just a wave of relief to finally get this guy off my team? Like, what were the emotions around New Orleans around that trade?
So obviously, like any NBA Twitter segment, you have your stands. So the BI stands that came with him and or that developed here, we're going to be upset whenever he left, and so some of that happened. I think for people like myself, we had known for a long time that the BI Zion bet was a bad one. We were at least a year deep into knowing that was the case. I think we all wanted him to move like the prior summer. And when you start the season with him, like we knew, like there were 3 conversations that got really deep on BI during this past summer. So a year ago, Utah's about to give him $206 million. And now you see how that manifests. They draft Ace Bailey. There was a value on getting one of these tall, hard, difficult shot maker guys. They've wanted one of those. They were willing to offer him a max deal, and he didn't want to live in Salt Lake. And the Kings, Alvin Gentry's over there.
That's how you know you got too much money.
Yeah, dude. Hey, that's the NBA. Alvin Gentry's over there in Sacramento. Kings kicking around like, hey, we'd be in for this. What do we got to do? But then the relative price of getting DeMar DeRozan is just way easier. So they go the DeMar DeRozan route. Now, all of a sudden, you've gone through the whole summer. Everyone knows he's in the shop window. And all of the suitors know, like, we're getting toxic. Like, we're getting to the point where, like, he knows he doesn't want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You go into the season and, like, at that point, we're praying for the quickest trade possible for whatever makes sense. I'm open to scraps. I'm like, hey, can we go back to Utah and like just get John Collins? Like, it's fine, whatever it takes, because I just know where this is going. And so what we get is, the very weird Raptors trade where, like, I love Bruce Brown, but that was placeholder salary. Olynyk, useful. Ended up, look, they did a good deal on CJ and Jordan Poole. So Olynyk, thank you for pivoting into helping me do that. But yeah, we're kind of mostly relieved because of how far we got. I think it was a tragedy for David Griffin to bring Brandon Ingram into the season last year. I think they should have made whatever cut rate deal during the summer because it would have been better than whatever they got.
When you're talking about Brandon Ingram being in the shop room window for as long as he was, inevitably every team looks and is like, what do we think? What do we think about Brandon Ingram? And there was a sect because there's been a struggle with the Grizzlies that when they get bogged down in like a half court style offense, that like if they can't get turnovers, they can't run, then we really struggle if it gets bogged down. And there was a section of folks out there that was like, Brandon Ingram would fit this. We were never those guys because I just don't like guys that just dribble the ball into the ground and then take a mid-range shot. Like, it's just not my cup of tea. And so we were out on Brandon Ingram.
I think the value in a player like him. So like look at DeMar DeRozan in that like prime Chicago run those first 2 years. There's an immense value for a guy to be able to shoot along to and knock it down at a high clip, like a higher than NBA level clip, because it's harder for defenses to stop that in the playoffs. Problem is you got to get there. And in the regular season, it's a different game. The regular season, if you're passing up threes to take long twos when you're unguarded or when you're guarded soft, you can't relocate. Like there are just some things that, as talented as Brandon Ingram is, that just aren't in his bag. He's not taking a step back three ever. He's not sidestepping a defender and launching a three. If he sees you get aggressive, he's going around you to the elbow and he's going up. Like that's what he's going to do. There's a place for that. But the thing about DeMar when it worked was DeMar was league high free throw generation at the same time. Right. So he was fixing his efficiency problems with the free throw line, and Brandon Ingram just does not do that. So he can't really make up for the fact that he's a long two guy. And the defense has come along. Like there's a lot of places he's improved. His passing's underrated, but it's just a weird player to have to pay max money to. If you can pay him less than that, he can fit.
Right. The next trade then is the Jordan Poole trade. And I think when you're talking about what public opinion of Jordan Poole was, and then you can do like a A-B, like a before punch and after punch with Jordan Poole, because then they just ship him off to Washington where he's just allowed to just chuck shots forever. And his public appeal goes to the floor, basically. And he becomes like all Wizards teams have been kind of a laughing stock, and he's just kind of the poster child. Do you believe in a resurgence here? Do you see the value in Jordan Poole as like an offensive dude that maybe could run in a system when they're trying to win?
People don't watch the Washington Wizards.
I agree.
I drafted Jordan Poole last year for $1 in my fantasy basketball league against other media members in New Orleans, and I went to the finals. Jordan Poole had a remarkable season last year on a horrific team that intentionally sold two of their best players to get worse because they accidentally won a few games in the second month of the year. Jordan Poole had the best season of his life last year, and no one talked about it because the Wizards were awful and were in lottery discussions from the start of the season to the end, and then proactively got worse. You look, some of the stuff with Jordan Poole doesn't go away. Like I watched a lot of his games last year. He's definitely still got I'm walking up to 40 and I'm feeling it. This is go. And he makes some, and that's why he does it. But when LeBron does it, he like always makes that one when he calls his number on that. Yeah. When Jordan Poole does it, he makes it like, 1 out of 5 times, and you shouldn't take 5 of those in a game. So there's still some of that stuff, but Jordan Poole's assists were up. His scoring was up. He was top 1% of the league as a shooter. Like this is essentially, if I'm taking CJ McCollum, who had at this point, love him. I personally love him. We'll defend him till the cows come home. Not appreciated enough. The Twitter stuff about how this CBA is all his fault. I hate those people. CJ McCollum's an incredible person. He's the best professional in this organization. He was fantastic for us, and we owe him a lot. We just hit that player, that style of player who needs to be next to Zion to open his floor up, along with the Trey Murphy. We just made that guy 26 years old instead of 35. We made him a better shooter and a better athlete. So the things that were tough with CJ just got a lot easier stylistically you're getting more out of that player than you're getting out of CJ. But the trade-off, I lost the most professional player in the organization,
Right.
and I traded it for a guy who's like reputationally a knucklehead.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm bullish on the Poole thing, mainly because we didn't pay a dime. A fake second-round pick, CJ McCollum and Kelly Olynyk, doesn't make sense to me because the last 2 trade windows, I was strapping a first-round pick to CJ. And now I got out of that with like, I get Poole and I got Sadiq Bey too.
I like Sadiq Bey. I've been a big fan of Sadiq Bey. He's had some injuries and some concerns off the court, but like the guy could be a bucket, and he was kind of streaky for Atlanta there for a little bit when he was there. Like he can score. So I think that's kind of an underrated part of this trade. But the Jordan Poole experience is much like us with the Dylan Brooks experience, right? Like you get frustrated with a player because they're knuckleheadedness, and you can kind of overlook some of the things that they do well, and it skews your view of them. But a guy that we're not skewed on is in your Twitter bio at Adam McCreary, Herb Jones and whiskey. I told Drew with that kind of bio, I can get along with this guy because I covet Herb Jones on this team. And I would love, like, he just feels like what should be a Memphis Grizzly and would love to trade you a bottle of whiskey for Herb Jones.
All right. So this mythology has started on NBA Twitter, and it's not just your team or your Twitter sphere at all.
Right.
There has been this thing. It is prevalent. That's all that's going on in our group text. I have one from 5 minutes ago where we're sending each other screenshots of people trading absolute scraps for Trey Murphy and Herb Jones. And again, like back to your earlier point about teams and like tearing down. I don't know what people think teams do, but not everybody is the Washington Wizards. Not everybody is going to be one of the highest cap teams in the league this year intentionally to be terrible. We're not doing that. The New Orleans Pelicans are not doing that. And the foundation of the team, it's weird to say this about a guy that's a role player. Herb is a pillar of the team.
Yeah, he's so
and
good.
Is like whatever. I can't believe they have him on the contract number he's on. It's insane, and it feels entirely tied to the fact that like the only thing he likes to do is go back to Alabama and fish. But the idea that we got him on that number, like you would have to pay us, like if you want to pay us like multiple firsts and like some sort of promising something back. Like I'm sure there are prices where people would listen. If you're going to come for Trey Murphy with 4 firsts and a swap or something like that, then like we can have a conversation. But these guys are more valuable to us than they even are to you. So like Herb Jones isn't going anywhere. So
yeah, he's what everybody covets. He's a 3-and-D wing. He's making an average of $13.9 million over the next 3 years. His cap hit is only $41 million for a guy that does what every team needs, right? A lockdown perimeter defender and a guy that can get you some buckets. He does have some injury concerns, which we know all too well here in Memphis. But when that guy's on the court, I don't know that there's anybody that does those like that defensive lockup better than him in spurts for sure.
All NBA defender. The thing with him and the thing that people misjudged in his draft, like back then we were still doing the like, if you're a senior, that's a knock against you in the draft. Right. Like if you're older, well, we bump you down, which is just silly sometimes. But the thing that people missed was he had the wild long arms. Everybody knew that. They saw the combine measurements and all that. What people misjudged or just didn't anticipate, the single closeout step and how far he can cover ground. He basically can cover the man he's on and the guy closest to him with one step. And he's up there in the league. If you get into like, if you go really far into it and look at like most contested threes, he's in the top 5 every year. Most deflected threes, he's in the top 5 every year. And it's because players cannot adjust to the fact that he's 7 feet off you, but actually he's only 2 feet off you.
Yeah. I've got the exact opposite of that. You know, I would need,
you and me both.
I would need 5 steps and a trampoline.
So yeah, in other words, you can't have her.
Yeah,
that's it.
I've always kind of thought that, you know, everybody loves the big wings. Like that is the thing. You look at Oklahoma City, you look at Indiana. Like Herb Jones is one of those guys. Trey Murphy is one of those guys. I have no idea why in the world New Orleans would want to get part with them. let's go to the next trade. And this is the one that probably got the worst PR ever. And that's on draft night, you move up, was it 10 spots to number 10 overall to take Patrick Queen, linebacker for the Ravens. No, Derek
I
Queen.
do that too. LSU, I do that too.
Oh, yeah.
I keep doing the Patrick
LSU
Queen
guy.
thing. I keep doing it. I keep doing it.
Maryland's big man, Derek Queen. And in the process, in that trade, give up an unprotected 2026 first round pick that was New Orleans pick. Initially, what did you think, and where have you landed?
Okay, so we knew that Troy Weaver loved Derek Queen. There was some rumor like 2 weeks before the draft. Oh, maybe they consider Derek Queen at 7, which no, they're not, because nobody has him that high up on their board. So I was prepared for them to want him. Personally, I was pulling for guys that like went way lower. Like I love Rasheer Fleming. He's the guy I got pilled on in this draft class. He's one of those dudes that I just look at him and I'm like, I don't care what the concerns are. Seeing a guy who is bigger than a wing that can dribble and defend multi-positionally like he can and like play with a level of authority and surprising athleticism. I just know that guy's going to make it 10 years in the NBA. And so like, I love that guy. I was not big on the Derek Queen thing, mainly because he just has a lot going against him. I understand that I'll tell you the bet is the passing. The passing and the vision is incredibly unique for a big. You're not talking Jokic because he's not, and you should never use his name. But the next tier down, the like Sabonis level passer, that is like the type of court vision and the handle that we've seen in college. We've seen a guy that like can take the ball from the 3-point line and like go get his own bucket. The struggle for a lot of guys with bad athletic profile, like say a Luka Garza, who just moved over to Boston, I think.
Boston, yeah.
Is there's just no room for error. Derek Queen as a pick it needs to be an exception to the rule. I don't love drafting exceptions to the rule. CJ McCollum was an exception to the rule. He was a non-athlete who was so skilled that you're betting on the skill and the shot making, and he is one of the less than 1% that made it.
Right.
That's usually not a great bet. Most of the time, that's not going to work out. Kendall Marshall was a similar bet. Flamed out famously. Like was great at UNC, makes it to a national title game, all that stuff. Sean May, all that whole thing. And then completely flames out of the league. It's not good to bet with athletic. Like I want to see one other thing. If Derek Queen had one other thing, I'd feel a lot better about it. He does have the footwork, the handle, the passing. That's unique for 6'10". It just is. He's also doughy. He also, like, there have been questions about work ethic and athletically, he grades out as a single percentile in combine history as a center and a power forward. Yes. So the guy that you're familiar with who grades out similarly that has been the most successful in like the modern combine is Luka Garza, which is scary because he just signed for $5 million.
And you used an unprotected pick in what's going to be a top-heavy lottery to go get him. Like I can see the concerns, I can see the fear in your face, which also leads to, well, in my opinion, Drew's a lot higher on fears going there to New Orleans than I am. But like that guy's got boomer bust kind of written all over him, in my opinion. Like what's kind of been the thought on drafting him at 7th overall?
Look, at 7, I'll tell you, originally, I was just kind of praying that Con Knipple would slip, but I knew he wouldn't. Mm-hmm. I also thought Fears would be taken before 7. Fears was of the practical people that were going to be at 7, Knipple and Fears were my guys. Mm-hmm. So when we get Fears, I'm thrilled. Mainly from the standpoint of when you're picking that high, you either want this is either going to be an immaculate fit of a really skilled player, which would have been like Knipple would have gone right into the rotation on the wing. Yeah. He can do a lot of things well. He doesn't make bad decisions. Like he's just a pro. He's a pro already.
Right.
Fears is the exact opposite in that there's a lot of raw potential there. And it's a fit for like, we need a ball handler. We need a lead guard. pretty badly, especially after the DeJounte Murray injury.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thrilled when they pick him. I think it's one of the best upside play. If you're going to pick an upside player, it's one of the best upside bets in the first round. He is, speaking of percentiles, 93rd percentile NBA combine history fast.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like, we're talking top of the league level fast. And it's stop and go. He's probably a little slower than Fox, but he has great feel for the stop and go. His handle is already very good.
Incredible.
It's surprisingly good for being as slight as he is, using his off arm, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander style, to keep a defender away from the ball. It's shocking how well he does that for how lean he is. Mm-hmm. He should get bullied off the ball more than he does. So the kid's barely 19 years old. If I'm betting that he gets any stronger, any bigger whatsoever, I like the free throw average is good. He talks like a professional. I feel all right about the shot coming along. Like I think it's the best bet they could have made. So I feel great about him. It's the inverse of the Queen thing. And the Queen thing, I want to touch on it again, but let's stick with fears for a second. So how do y'all feel about fears? Like, do y'all have differing opinion on that? What's the scare? What's the bust with fears?
Let me just put the brakes on just a second. We didn't even think we had a draft pick until a week and a half before the draft happened. So the deep dive didn't really happen. I was basing it. I'm an Ole Miss fan. He's a State fan. We watched him play at Oklahoma, and he was dynamic. And my just thought process, if you're not drafted in the top 5, it's like, who could possibly be the best player in this draft? And that's where I thought Jeremiah Fears was. He's just an athletic dynamo. If he can figure out a 3-point shot, like, we're not even talking about him him falling to 7 would be just a plummet if he figures out a 3-point shot. And so that's where I was at with him.
The athleticism, the handle is there for me. Like, it's just, he's a bit slight. He's 6'4", 183 was his listing at 185 at the combine. He's a small guard that's could get bullied around, but we see guys like John Morant and De'Aaron Fox make a perfectly good living in SGA at that. Shooting 28% from 3 makes me nervous. He's an 85% career free throw shooter in college, so the mechanics are there, but can it come along and develop that shot to give himself that to keep defense honest, right? Because if they know he can't shoot threes, well, I'm just going to back off and keep you from driving to cut off your driving lanes is my biggest concerns.
But reclassified at 17 to go to college early and score 17 a game against
that's good
23-year-olds who are still in the league. Johnny Broom still in the league because of COVID. Mm-hmm. So
I'm with you. I'm on your team here. He's the hater.
I mean, it's a bet, right? It's not a sure thing because he didn't score 20 points a game with 37% from 3. But it's how scared are you of the 28%? Like, do you think he's going to shoot lower than league average and be a nothing from 3? And I don't. Mm-hmm. So then it's just, okay, is he going to get bullied? And like you said about Ja, like Ja can get pushed around sometimes, but like similar to Ja, he has this explosive feel for when a guy guards him wrong. And he will go left or right. He will cross you up going right, or he will off arm you and go left and get to the rim. And you can't stop the first step. And since you can't stop the first step, it doesn't matter that he's small.
Right.
It matters in terms of injury. It matters in terms of being available for 60 plus games, which you guys are very familiar with. But yeah, I am completely aboard. Best bet they could have made. Like, there's a lot of rumor of Common Malawak, and no, I was not about to have a Joe Dumars, a guy who's real big that can't do anything.
Listen, you're speaking to the crowd, like that flashback of Hashim Thabit, right? He had the measurables, big guy, but could not do anything, and yet we still took him.
I loved Malawak. What are you talking about?
No, I'm saying,
look, Malawak, he is going to be a black hole rebounder.
Yeah.
We do this with all of them, right?
Yeah.
Jackson Hayes had only been playing basketball for 3 years, and look at him now.
I get it. But that dude is a motor. I mean, I just loved how hard he played. I mean, I just liked the frame he was built on.
Yeah.
And I don't like Zach Edey. And so
look, hey, I'm a certified Zach Edey hater, but only because
2 for 2 this week,
but only because he got pushed real hard by like the analytics folks around the Pelicans who were like, he's not going to make it to us, but if he did, I'm gonna give my quick Zach Edey. I'll do it super fast. I didn't want y'all to draft Zach Edey, and if you did draft him, I wanted you to use him one very specific way because I've watched enough Jenkins basketball to know that you shouldn't put him in the starting lineup. If the second unit was the Zach Edey unit, I would understand the bet. If the whole thing around him is shooting in the second unit, and you have like these guys like say a Tim Hardaway or somebody that's like splitting time between first unit, second unit, and you're feeding him and you know you're gonna play slow, deliberate basketball, then great. Thinking that you're gonna be like, you have run and gun players. Like you have guys that defend well and run in transition, and you put you strap a lead anchor to it. And everybody quoted me, oh, but his agility metrics at the combine were so much better from one year to the other. He's going to be the slowest person on the floor every single night because that's what he's always been. His physiology is not going to change that much. Shot blocking extreme, hyper rebounder, but I feel like the five that's on the floor has to be geared around that when you're in this NBA. And so like I didn't want him to drop because like he wasn't going to do the Steven Adams, like the little pin downs and the handoffs and stuff, the little pick and roll stuff where then Steven Adams flashes out and hits a baseline pass. Like he's not doing that stuff, man.
No. And he's just going to get played out. He's going to be pick and rolled to death in the playoffs. Like if Rudy Gobert, the 4-time DPOI, can't play in the playoffs, neither is Zach Edey. And success and failure.
I'm not ready to put the baby out with bathwater yet there. I think there is some potential with the Ty Jerome and these guys.
If you think he can fit in a normal sized bath, then the joke's on you.
Tumas Isolo's offense is a lot different than Janky Jenkins, who we have for the last couple of years, who didn't know any kind of NBA strategy. But that's all we're going to talk about Taylor Jenkins. I think that there's still going to be a place for him on the team. I'm not ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Though a guy I was pushing hard for, Kalel Ware, like Grizzlies really wanted Clingan. Those guys would have been much more fitted for the system that we were trying to run with all that motion stuff. But I'm still giving hope for Zach Edey. Tell me, Adam, as we start wrapping up here, what's a winning summer look like for the Pelicans, right? You got your guys in the draft. You've gotten Jordan Poole in. You're going to kind of build around Trey and Herb is what it looks like. Like, what's your post situation, and what does a winning summer look like for the Pelicans?
So Kevon Looney just gets signed. Guy we've looked at for a really long time. He was always like just believed to be a fit with like a big to be in the rotation with Zion. We've looked at him several times. I think we've kind of known there was an interest there. I'm happy to see him in the door because after that draft, you look at our big rotation and you're like, oh God, my power forward and center position before Kevon Looney gets here consists of like kind of Zion, who doesn't really play power forward, but he's like the most power forward sized. And then I'm going straight to Yves Missi, Carlo Matkovic, and that's it. Derek Queen. So this goes back to like what I'm afraid of with Queen. I don't mind bucking the athletic analytics because you think the guy is a top 1% special passer as a big. I see that. I see the bet. The fear for me is that everything you've done has leveraged that pick even more. You trading up for it. Like very clearly, if you go back, if you listen to what Dumars said, it sounds like they called everybody from 10 to 13 and offered some version of the pick. And by the time they got to 13, they took protections off to just make it happen because they were like straight up, just like the damn Draft Day movie. It was Derek Queen no matter what. And it sucks that you don't play the draft more and that you're that sold. If they're right, they're geniuses. The Kevon Looney thing to me also leverages that pick because you're not signing Kevon Looney to play 28, 35 minutes every single night, be your nightly starter. That's not what he does. He's an incredible 1B center option for a team that really struggles to rebound the basketball. And he's a good passer. So like he's used to kicking out to the 3-point line. We need the center to be able to do that, to be able to find that stuff. And he's seasoned at that, has played with Poole before, a lot of good things. But like they've clearly got big plans for Derek Queen. And the more they do this, the more I'm scared. Because man, just athletically, he's not supposed to make it in the NBA. And now it's like it feels like they've got 20 minutes on deck for him day one. And that is like, it's just really scary to me. He can't jump, he's not fast, he can't shoot.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure.
You're kind of hostage is the wrong word, but it's funny that same draft, Zion went 1, Ja went 2 to us. And we're both kind of held hostage by those two players because they are elite, all NBA. I mean, game changers when they play. And so when you are going into a season needing, because you've given up your 26th pick at this point, you've got to have Zion or what? Like, is this kind of a Zion replacement? Are they wanting him to kind of share the court with him? How does that work? And how does he raise your floor to, like you said, you mortgage your future on him?
Yeah. So they were coming out of this draft with this guy. Like, Weaver wants this dude, knows the parents, has, friends on staff with him since he was in high school. Like, if anybody knows Derek Queen and is going to make this call, like, Weaver's the guy to do it. This is still Zion's team. It is absolutely Zion's team. It's Zion's team. They're not trading him this season. That's like, that conversation will not even open. Jordan Poole is a great fit for Zion. Trey Murphy is a great fit for Zion. I think we need to just assume DeJounte Murray is on his way out of here as soon as he's healthy enough to trade. I would not plan on that being a long-term piece, but I think they're looking to be like tough and different in the front court. Like, they want to play basketball in the front court in a way that other teams don't emphasize. And I think as far as Queen goes, like, having a guy who can get it in the post, get it at the top of the key, and like run plays is like pretty wild to have if it works out. The fear is just the athleticism. If you put him out there, he can absolutely play with Zion. Like, they're both superior passers. And the fear will just be, oh God, oh, what is Sane doing here? Oh no.
He's asking a good question. Is like, Looney is also a big lumbering giant like Edey. Is he going to be athletic enough to play?
Looney's not as slow as Edey. Come on now. Looney is not as slow as Edey. Look, Looney's 29. Like, he's not fast, but like, we're not, I don't think we're as dynamically fast. We got faster. We got more athletic just now with the Poole trade and everything. But I don't think we were all that like run and gunny. We were pretty bad in transition, actually, the last couple of years. So like, and also like, Looney he's going to get $8 million to be my backup. So it's not quite the Edey thing. Anyway, I appreciate that though.
Yeah.
Appreciate the fan participation.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's a Zion team. I think they're betting that Queen's going to fit next to him. Are they thinking about some potential like plan B in the future? Maybe. Are we going to see any of that this year? No. I think we have two like firm goals in my mind. I'm looking for us to trade Jordan Hawkins. I am waiting for him to be traded to a tax heavy team for a wing or a ball handler. We're kind of pulling for Sam Hauser. We could save the Boston Celtics $30 million in tax if we send Hawkins straight up for Sam Hauser, and he would walk right into our rotation and play day one. Like, he'd be 3-4. Like, he has some versatility in the middle spots right there. So I'm looking for that. I'm holding out for like a Malcolm Brogdon to be like the guy that alleviates all of my lack of size in my ball handlers.
Yeah.
But Brogdon's going to have a lot of suitors. Like, he's a versatile player. But Wizards played with Poole. Weaver knows him. Weaver signed him once before. I'm connecting the murder lines on the board.
Well, hey, Adam, thank you for being here with us today, man. Tell the people where they can find you as we get you out of here and back to your day, man.
Yeah, I'm finally going to start doing pods again. Started a new day job that had me on hiatus for a minute. But we'll be recording again this week with the illustrious Steve Jones Jr. of the Dunker Spot. You can find me at From the Wing. I am on every platform, just as these guys are. I am also proudly sponsored by THC Beverage. And and yeah, I basically some version of everything we talked about here. I'm going to go elbow deep on pool and all the draft picks and the scary queen bet and all those things. Probably recording tomorrow. So I'll be back in your feeds momentarily.
Appreciate that, man. Hey, thank you for being here with us today, buddy. It was awesome. Good insight on the Pelicans. We'll definitely have you back as we get closer to the season, especially if a Brogdon trade happens or if Zach Edey is awesome, so I can gloat in front of both of y'all. But thank you for being here, Adam. Appreciate you, buddy.
I'll be happy to take it on my substantially smaller than Zach Edey's chin.
Appreciate it, man. We'll see you on the other side.
Looking for an alternative to alcohol or conventional medicine? Check out Ounce of Hope, a Memphis-based dispensary with 2 local stores in the Sanderland Center and on South Cooper Street. You can get all the products you need in a location convenient to you. Each store offers an intentional shopping experience with dedicated bud tenders to answer all of your questions, from product selection and mushroom blends to our personal favorite, the Delta 9 seltzers. You gotta try the Peach Buzz. Try Ounce of Hope at either one of their 2 Memphis stores or at www.ounceofhope.com for convenient products shipped right to your door. Use the promo code BluffCity for 15% off any order, excluding sale items. Cannot be used in conjunction with other promotions or discounts. One use per customer.
At what point of your long time spending with Cedric did you realize you were coaching Michael Jordan? When did you realize? When did you realize you were coaching Michael Jordan?
Hey, he came into practice about a year and a half ago, and he had shaved his head completely, and the whole team was calling him Michael Jordan for about
real?
a week.
Really?
So you're not the first one right there. When I found out it was Memphis, I was so happy because he fits that personality. He's not high maintenance. He's all about hoops. It doesn't matter what ball we're playing with, what gym we're in. Let's go do this. Let's go compete. And so I think kind of that mindset that Jalen, I'm assuming, probably brought to Memphis, where he's going to be grateful and he doesn't need much. He's going to go compete and just be a dog from the jump.
Check out the Anthony Sane Show live Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. only on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. In the heart of the Highland Strip for 27 years, Trilogy Tattoo has helped tell stories for Memphians for generations. Located at 530 South Highland, Richie and his team are waiting to help you tell yours.
From tattoos to piercings, your body art should be as unique as you are. Voted a Memphis Flyer top 3 tattoo shop in the city of Memphis since day one. Your story will be safe here at Trilogy Tattoo.
Open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 11 to 11, and 3 to 11 on Sundays. They have convenient times waiting on you. Let Trilogy Tattoo help you tell your story.
And welcome to segment number 3 of the Two Buck Sports Show. I want to thank Adam McCrary from On the Wings podcast, talking the New Orleans Pelicans and Memphis Grizzlies with us for a segment here. It's the off season, and so we're going to try to do a behind enemy line segment at least once a week on our show to talk to different people from around the NBA, around college football, whatever we can find. We're trying to get some guests in here, build the brand, talk to some interesting people, and I think today was a success, Rusty.
Yeah, agreed. Adam was great. Check out his show, From the Wing, Adam McCreary on Twitter. I've got some feelers out for a Hawks show for next week. I'd love to just hear kind of what they're thinking with their revamp. So y'all stay tuned for that and tune in for that next week. But Drew, 2 bits of news before we get out of here for the day. One, the Grizzlies PR announced that Jan will be reevaluated in 12 weeks, which kind of puts it at the end of September. we know from Grizz speak, reevaluation doesn't mean playing, but we're going to relook at it. And 9 times out of 10, 4 to 6 weeks later, you see the Grizzlies start releasing him back to play. So I do think my prediction of sometime around November is still pretty accurate, but he's going to be reevaluated in 12 weeks.
Yeah. I believe this was Parker Fleming said exactly 12 weeks from today is September the 12th. That's the exact 6-week mark. So
there you go.
Give or take. So
yeah, I still feel pretty good about November being kind of a good rough timeline of him being back in action on the court, in game action for the Grizzlies. One option for the Grizzlies is Walker Kessler. He's a name that's been coming up a lot from the Utah Jazz. Drew, he's on he's still basically on like a minimum deal, around $4 million a year or so. But the Utah Jazz came out today and said that it's going to be a steep asking prices. They want a young player and 2 first-round picks for Walker Kessler. Is that too rich for your blood to get him to Memphis?
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed.
No, Walker Kessler is I believe he is also just a very specific type of big in the NBA. And I'm not giving up 2 first-round picks and a young player for somebody that can only do his range of effectiveness is like this big. He's really good here, but not here.
Yeah. I don't want to. It's too much for a guy that is very niche and got bullied by Zach Edey in Zach Edey's first game. I just think that's a lot asking for a young player like that. And so I like Walker Kessler. I think he could fit and could help this team in the interim, but I don't want to give up what would likely be, GG, another player, and 2 first-round picks. And so I don't know. We'll see. I think there are some guys out there that we could get a little bit cheaper that we could turn into some help while Jaren's out. But listen, an hour show today, Drew. Thank you for hanging with us on your lunch break, man. Appreciate you coming and hanging. Thanks again to Adam McCreary for joining us today from the Wing Podcast. Y'all check him out as he talks all things Pelicans, firing back up this week. And the Bucks will not be here. Friday is July the 4th. Drew is out of town. I'm going to take the day off. I got to get some stuff caught up. So there will not be a 2 Buck Sports show on Friday, barring a major move for the Grizzlies. I'll say that. If there is something that breaks loose, we can hop on real quick and talk through it with y'all. But as of now, we're going to enjoy celebrating America's independence on Friday and take the day off.
Rusty, how does your days off differ from what today was?
Dude, I'm just telling you, man. I've never been busier. We're just crap I got to get done. And trying to get caught up. Real estate school is a bear. I'll say that.
Listen, everybody turn your Toby Keith up on Friday. Turn your Lee Greenwood on, your Alan Jackson, your Garth Brooks. This is a country music holiday. Let freedom ring. We'll see you on Monday.
Yes, sir. We'll take Friday off. But in the meantime, go be a friend to somebody who's a friend. Drew, there's no reasons for what you heard today.
That's right. With the $2, you always get what you pay for. See you on Monday.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the 2 Buck Sports Show. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page, like this video, and leave a comment. We will see you back here in a few days.